Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 39th Miami Film Festival. My name is Lauren Cohen. I'm the co-director of programming here at the festival, and we are so proud to present the acclaimed Art of Light Composer Award presented by the Alacran Group to Chilean-born, Montreal-based composer Cristobal Tapia de Veer. Miami Film Festival's Art of Light Awards are presented to cinematic artists whose exemplary work shines new wonders on the continuing evolution of motion pictures. Hailed as a musical genius by Paste magazine, multiple award winner Cristobal Tapia de Veer is recognized for creating some of the most memorable soundtracks in modern entertainment. His early television work includes the critically acclaimed cult series Utopia, which earned him awards from the Royal Television Society, among others. Along with Humans and Black Mirror, Tapia de Veer earned a BAFTA and other honors for the miniseries National Treasure and an Emmy nomination for Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams. Recent television projects include The Third Day, starring Jude Law and Naomi Harris, which received multiple nominations and wins for its haunting score, and the Jordan Peele-produced Hunters for Amazon Prime, starring Al Pacino. Tapia de Veer made headlines in 2021 with his music for HBO's zeitgeist-shaking limited series The White Lotus. The score is so memorable and so crucial to the series that it works as if it's another character in the show. Its tribal, thumping, buzzing urgency is atmospheric and iconic, so much so that it's impossible to think about the show without hearing that score in your head. To say a few words, please join me in welcoming the Alacran Group's Georgia Losavio.
Hi, thank you everyone. I'm very proud on behalf of Alacran Group to give this prize. And thank you the Miami Film Festival, this great opportunity. So thank you.
So without further ado, I am so thrilled to present Cristobal Tapia de Veer with Miami Film Festival's Art of Light Composer Award.
Hello.
So now, Cristobal and IndieWire's Ryan Latazio are going to participate in the conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Oh. Wow. Nice.
Yes. Stay here, don't go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Latanzio. I'm an editor at IndieWire. Cristobal, thank you for being with us today
My
at
pleasure.
the Miami Film Festival. I think a lot of you who are here must be familiar with probably his best-known work, which is the score for The White Lotus, which, that show aired last summer. And I think for a lot of people who watched it, that was kind of a defining, the theme song at least was like a defining song of that summer. I think I tried to get it as a ringtone. It wasn't available. I think probably a good place to start would be to play the opening, the intro to the show, which we do have a clip of. Well, this works also. This is a
Perfect.
This is a clip of you you were recording, right?
Well, yeah, I was jamming the flute outside. I don't know why that's there. Oh,
Oh well. This
the one before.
yeah, the one
I think
before
one
actually.
before
That would be a
seems
a
to be
good
clip.
launching point. Yes, here. Yes, this is So the thing about this score is that it's very much like a character in the movie, and it serves to illustrate the disconnect between the guests of the White Lotus, which is a hotel in Hawaii where the moneyed and affluent and disaffected have come to stay, and their environment, which is lush and beautiful and populated by native people. Talk a little bit about what what were the origins of the score? What were your inspirations for how it began?
Mike White, the showrunner, he called me, and then we discussed his show. And he asked me certain things like he wanted people to feel like there was going to be a sacrifice and things like that, which it never happens in the show. But he wanted that feeling from the music, like something is bubbling all the time. There's more there that the text. So he wanted the music to be a subtext somehow. To be a comment in a way of the show. So that was one thing. We settled on a Hawaiian Hitchcock kind of vibe, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I read the script and I love the script, and when we talked, we were just laughing. We had some weird talks about what we wanted to do, but I would say that it's pretty much that is a Hawaiian Hitchcock. It's sacrificial music. Can you say that? Sacrificial? Is that a word? Yeah. The rest is just jamming. It's just playing. I spent maybe a month playing all the percussions and everything, and it's really spontaneous. There's not much calculation behind that. It was just a big jam, and when I started working when I got the scenes, actually, the actual show, then things became more clear how we wanted to play with the characters and everything.
Well, the show was obviously it was produced during the pandemic on location in Hawaii, and HBO actually came to Mike White and was sort of like, what do you have? What is it? What is something that we could achieve? In the constraints of this moment that we're in. And my understanding is that you came on like a month, before, or at least like you came on very late in the process, right? To this.
Yeah, very. I never been so late in a show, so I had no choice really to just do it. So I think it's probably the show that I have thought or have put the less thought into working into designing stuff. It was too short a period of time, and the only way for me to do it was just to play and do it. Whatever comes out, that's gonna be it. So it was a big, fast commitment.
And you were probably doing all of this. I mean, you weren't side by side with Mike White. You work out of what is it? It's like a barn, basically. That's outside of Montreal. Yeah.
So I was all by myself at -40, with Hawaiian images. No neighbors and everything. It's like a true shining vibe. And I have to do tribal music for a Hawaiian show. So it's cool.
I wonder if you could set the scene a little bit of what this workspace that you're in looks like. I mean, I mean, this show, there's South American guitars, there's African percussion, there's these flutes that you're working with. I mean, are there just sort of instruments like all over the place that are at the ready?
So, sorry, what's the question?
Oh, I was just asking you to kind of set the scene for what your workspace looks like, you know, when you're composing.
A complete mess. I mean, there's percussions everywhere, and I mean, I can barely walk in there, but I have a big collection of African percussions and everything. I would say for the style and for the instruments, it was never an issue to not use Hawaiian typical, like a ukulele. Instead of a ukulele, I played a charango, which is a Chilean or South American instrument, which is similar. It's a small guitar. It has more strings, but I somehow get some vibes from it that could be Hawaiian. But in general, I didn't care about that because it was not about Hawaiian. I mean, it's not a documentary. I'm commenting on this on these rich people that are going to this place. So yeah, it's not a typical thing. So yeah, lots of African percussions, Latin American instruments.
One thing that I think people who watch the show can attest to is that the music is it's quite loud. You know, it's like right in the room, sort of next to each of these people. You know, it's on the level of their dialogue. Were you aware of like how much of a character that the music was going to be?
I haven't watched the show mixed. I never seen any shows that I've done. I don't watch the stuff finished, so I couldn't comment on the. I've heard that before, that the music is really loud. I think Mike probably asked to push the music so that it's really a front character, and I think it is the best way to deal with this kind of music. I think because as background music, it would never work. And I knew that the music was a character, but I didn't realize how important it was until the show came out, and you know I started reading comments and stuff, feedback from people. So I'm really happy that Mike went for the character and really pushed it.
So there was a story last year that kind of was making the rounds about, you know, especially in the theme song, but also in the music throughout, there's a heavy vocal component. And you had talked about how some of that you had created for Kanye West as something that didn't end up playing out.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Kanye at some point, and I don't know if I'm going to tell that story, but unless you want to. But so I went to LA at some point, and I worked with Kanye for a bit, and these voices from the theme from the White Lotus is something I found when I was there, but I never presented those to him. So I just get them, and it's not exactly those voices. I mean, it's the same voices, it's the same technique I'm using. I'm playing those with a sampler. I recorded this Colombian singer who was just doing, you know, like woo, stuff like that. And then I would change the pitch and stuff and compose this. So I found that when I was with Kanye. And I was supposed to make an album with him, but this was maybe a month or 2 weeks before he came out of the closet as a Trump supporter. So everything became chaos, and you know he started firing all his lawyers and stuff. So in the end, I never got the call of what's happening or anything. So yeah. And then, so I had these tracks, and then I think pretty fast I thought of those voices for the White Lotus, because I tend to always use feminine voices, and these voices in particular are very powerful. It's a bit of a war cry, we call, which is different in many countries, but it's a kind of war cry. So I wanted to somehow comment on, not that anybody is gonna not notice that, but there's something to do with colonialism and abuse of Hawaii and everything, or in general. But there is these themes in the show which might not be front, but are very important, I think. How these people are abusing, and so this gives me a sense of power, and somehow something striking back, all these percussions and all this earthy, something that's coming like from the jungle or something, to bite you, or something like that. That's the feeling I wanted. So yeah.
Did you have any idea that this was going to hit the zeitgeist as much as it did? I mean, you're likely going to be nominated for an Emmy for this, and I think you're very likely to.
Who knows? I mean, the Emmys are very strange. Like this show, I was nominated for an Emmy for a show that nobody saw. It was called
Philip K. Dick's.
Philip
Like
K.
Dreams.
Dick's.
We actually have a clip of it. We could actually show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If we want to show that one. And so this one you were nominated for an Emmy for. Yeah.
You folks not bad enough? What's your food expression?
Hands up, my fault.
You put your money in.
Most certainly will.
Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Mother.
Here at the Spirit Mill, a warmer, more neighborly atmosphere is encouraged. So, no eye recognition, just good old sweat and print. And a reasonable vocal range.
You all right?
I'll be fine.
Can I help? You missed the bus. I can give you a lift.
Thank you.
I'm Ned, by the way. Ed Morris. You're dreaming.
So here you can kind of get a sense of what the score for that show is like.
Thank you.
And you've done it. This was an Amazon series. You've done a couple of those, and you mentioned that this got you an Emmy nomination. I mean, how did that sort of change things for you?
Change.
Or maybe
It's.
it didn't.
I mean, there's a respect, I suppose, from the industry, and when you work with people, they start seeing you differently, and so it could facilitate certain things, I suppose. because I mean, I would say that what I do is maybe not standard, so it's not an easy road when you're not doing standard music in a Hollywood context, and so yeah, the awards certainly helps me do what I need to do or what I like to do, I suppose.
Well, you were a classically trained musician, but as I understand, you also had a sort of a pop band when you were much younger. And then this other show, this sort of British cult series, Utopia, which is about basically like a graphic novel that sort of drives a number of people kind of insane, right? That was sort of the show that got you into composing for television, right?
Yeah, I met this director, Mark Monden, in Montreal. At some point, he was shooting some scenes there for a BBC thing, BBC show, and then he took a chance, really, with me. He heard something that I did that it was not music for films; it was just an album. And he wanted something different. He didn't want like a standard composer, like music, the standard film sound. And so yeah, he went on a leap of faith, and he tried, and we worked together. And when we did Utopia, it became such a big thing. Maybe not in numbers, because it's kind of a cult show. But it's very well respected. I mean, in all departments, the photography, all the art direction and everything. And I hear about that till today when I meet productions. Anybody in Hollywood, they all know it. Even though the public didn't know it that much until Amazon recently redid this show, an American show, an American version. But in the industry, the people they know the show, and there's lots of respect for that. So I suppose that put me in a path where people would call me to do that, to do what I do, and they never call me to do the orchestral stuff and all of that. So I suppose it was a really easy choice for me when I realized. This was just working by itself, and people were calling all the time, and to do my stuff. So I didn't feel like I don't feel like I need to do, for example, solo albums or anything like that, because it feels like it's already that. So I guess because of that and this work with that director, it somehow the industry got that this. It's almost like a message that went out, and that's what I do, and they call me for that. And it's like winning the lottery, really. If you're in this business and you know how hard it is, it's truly like winning the lottery, better, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point, what you say about the fact that you don't feel this compulsion to do solo albums, because the music does stand on its own, aside from being, accompanying the show or film, whatever the project is. We actually have kind of an interesting clip to show related to Utopia, which is that you used a piece of rhino dung as a musical instrument. So I wonder if we could share that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so with that in mind, and I also read that for this series that you considered or even did try to use human bones as an instrument. So it seems like you have a taste for unusual kind of found objects. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about where that comes from and how you end up incorporating these things?
Well, the bones. So I'm from Chile, and I have family up north of Chile, and there's the desert there. And me and my cousins, we just went to some place that there was supposed to be a cemetery, like an natives cemetery, which are super ancient in that zone. And it's all open. You see clothes that have maybe 500 years, and then bones. And I found a full torso. And the thing is, it's extremely salty, that area. And some places is only salt. So all this stuff is very well preserved. So it's not like we're digging into tombs with rotten, stuff. So I just took a bunch of them, which is really not a great idea, but I did. I took them on the plane, and I was lucky because I was going to Montreal, and my baggage got stuck in New York. And I thought that's it. They found the bones, and it's over. But then they sent Then I received the baggage at some point, and it was all open. They saw all the bones and everything, and I think they probably were verifying if this were fresh. If I have like a dead person in there or whatever. So anyhow, so I have that stuff. I'm sorry, it's kind of creepy having human bones. Like my mom she was really outraged, and I explained to her that I've been traveling with these bones. Like I went to London and I stayed 6 months working on this show, Utopia, and I brought the bones to use as percussion and as a flute as well. But it's not that the sound is particularly, amazing or different from doing this or anything. It's just the idea, the inspiration. I certainly don't play the same thing with bones in my hands that, with a professional thing, whatever. So it's just the results are going to be different, because I'm in this weird mindset using this weird stuff. So it's not always because a particular sound, or something like that. It's more about context, inspiration, and creative ideas.
And what about the rhino? How did that end up in your your repertoire?
That stuff I brought from Zimbabwe. I have like lots of giraffe and rhino turds, and it sounds great. I mean, with chopsticks. I mean, they're very dry. They don't stink or anything. And by the way, I mean, it's weird, but over there they make tea with rhino turds that have dried. So it's and really, I mean, it's just like grass. Like these animals that digest super fast, and so I mean it's not that gross.
And you tried the tea and it was good.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Well, another, the White Lotus is kind of a departure because you've done a lot of these sort of sci-fi kind of dystopian shows. Another one that you did that actually I saw before the White Lotus, and I was struck by the score, is the show The Third Day, which was a British miniseries, but it was on HBO. And I don't know, for those who didn't see it, it stars Jude Law, Naomi Harris, Catherine Waterston, and it takes place on this island off the English coast that people are sort of inexplicably drawn to. And it's set over the summer, fall, winter. And in fact, HBO did like a 12-hour sort of live stream special, kind of segging in between the episodes. So I'd love to ask about your work on this show. We do have a clip from that as well that we can show. That just gives a little bit of a taste of what the soundscape is like.
Just wait a minute.
Okay. Sam?
So you mentioned that.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you don't normally watch the shows that your work is in. Have you seen this show? It's quite good, and it's very creepy, and the music contributes to that sort of unsettling atmosphere. So why don't you say a little bit about what your vision was for the score for this show? Maybe how the project came your way, and we've talked about some of the different instruments that you use on your other projects. So maybe what was the approach here?
This one is very different because it's about two parents who lost a kid. And I wasn't really thinking about all the creepiness when I was writing music. So it was mainly, it's a weird story because Jude Law, his character, he finds a boy at some point in the woods, and he decides that it's his kid that somehow has appeared. So I'm scoring his delusions. I'm scoring his personality when he's not in this traumatic, psychotic state. And then I have to score his psychotic state. And so all that stuff, to me, it felt really moving. There was nothing creepy there, and I was just like singing on my phone, walking in the woods and finding melodies and stuff like that. And then I went on to record this girl who is actually the same from the White Lotus, Stephanie Osorio, who's from Colombia. I just recorded something moving, really. There was none of that in these clips, but it's like acoustic guitar with a nice moving melody, which is more like folk horror maybe than anything else. That's the difference, I would say, with other creepy shows that I've done.
So you've worked with this singer a couple times that you found from Colombia. How did you meet her?
She has a band in Montreal, like Latin American music. That's why. And there's not that many Colombians there, but I just like her voice, and I just call her. That's it.
We've talked about a number of the TV shows that you did, but you've done some independent film work. There's a 2016 movie called The Girl with All the Gifts. That's sort of this post-apocalyptic kind of movie with Gemma Arterton. And the score for that actually kind of wound up being repurposed in other things. I wonder if we could show. We have a clip for that.
It was repurposed?
I understand that it was used in a PlayStation commercial.
Oh, yeah. They've been licensing. Yeah.
And this is the opening scene of the movie.
Thank you.
So similar to kind of some of the other projects that we've showcased, this one also features, sort of ambient, kind of ominous vocals that sort of, work to kind of destabilize the audience. Tell us a little bit about your approach and vision for this particular score.
This one, they sent me the movie when it was finished, and I had to watch the movie and give them feedback for what I thought the movie needed. And so the movie is about the little girl, and so throughout the movie we're with her, and we have to be in her head and the stuff that's happening. There's lots of violent stuff, lots of war and zombies and all of that. And so towards the middle of the movie, it becomes lots about men fighting and monsters and stuff like that. And I started losing the girl in there. And with the music, what I was able to do is that it was always from her perspective. It doesn't really matter what the soldiers are doing, anything like that. I didn't think it was important. For me, it was how she perceived that stuff, all the violence and everything. So I guess that was my role. The voices, I just like voices all the time, and female voices. And this, it was just the perfect candidate again for these voices, because it's something in your head. I feel very close to her because of these voices, that are walking with her throughout the movie. And the rest is just noise. There's lots of creepy sounds. I do a lot of stuff like that. But for me, it's always that's the soul of the movie. Without that, all the rest, it really doesn't matter. All the big bangs and the big sounds and all that stuff. So yeah, the voices brought the soul, if you will.
Do you feel like there's a big difference creatively in composing for a film versus a television show?
A TV show, like the pilot of a TV show, is pretty much a film. So all the work goes into finding the direction and everything. And the rest, the other episodes, is just work. It's just making stuff fit and adding whatever. But it's really the hard job is the pilot. So in a way, a series it's very long work. And I think movies could be more interesting in a sense that it's shorter. You get to be really creative for a shorter period of time, and then it's over. But with a series, it's like when you're done, you continue for like 8 episodes working on that. So it feels a little bit like that for me.
What about when you are working? Are you listening to other music, or are you completely shutting out other noise when you're trying to compose?
I prefer not having temp music. If I don't have the images, then yeah, sometimes I listen to stuff, references, maybe movies that could be similar or whatever. But I mean, sometimes it's not. I'm not keeping track of a certain style or a certain way of doing things or anything like that. It's just perspective. Sometimes I do listen to stuff, or yeah, I don't really have a method.
And what do you like to listen to when you're not working, or is it just that you're always working and so that's not really a part of the equation?
I listen to anything really. I don't have a style of music that I like. I tend to like artists more than a style of music. Like I don't like rock. I like Led Zeppelin. I like some bands like that, but I don't like. I don't collect like one style of music, lots of stuff or anything. So I listen to anything that's interesting.
Are there any particular film or TV scores that you hold as like sacrosanct, or that are really inspirational to you, or that you love?
I'm not a fan of film music, to be honest. And the film music that I like tends to be from people who didn't go to school to become a composer. So a guy from a band, Johnny Greenwood or whoever. For me, it's Mika Levy, which I'm always talking about her in every interview. I think she's she's the best composer in the universe. But I think that she's not the most popular because she's too radical. And it can be too much for people, but she has the most radical ideas. Like, Monos, this movie?
Yes.
I don't know if you know Monos. And the score, I mean, if you listen to the soundtrack, like one track, you have toot, toot, like a little flute, and one note, and then you're on the next track. And that was it. That was the cue. And in the movie, it's like that. It's like you have one sound and it's gone. And for me, that's interesting in so many ways because obviously it works amazingly for that movie. I mean, that movie is it's like in the jungle, and all of a sudden you have this techno pad, and then there's no beat. There's nothing, like she doesn't give you anything. It's like there's one vibe in one sound and she gives you that. And with the images, it's incredible. By itself, maybe you wouldn't want to listen to it, but I think that's just genius and it's really hard to do. It's really easy to, compose like millions of sounds stacked and be impressive and stuff like that. But I really appreciate her because it's like she doesn't really care at all about any conventions, and she's not a composer. I mean, she was in a band. She had her own stuff and albums. So I think she does that for here and there. She's done some movies like Zola. I don't know if you've seen Zola. I think that's incredible. That score is absolutely incredible. Again, if you listen to the tracks by itself, maybe you wouldn't be like, genius. It's what it's doing to the images. And I think this is the job. It's not about impressive music. It's about a choice so particular, so specific, so intense and weird and different that when you watch the movie, you don't realize that it's the music that is making you feel this movie. It's like you've never seen anything like that, but it's the music. And in her case, is that she does that to movies with barely like bare bones music, completely. It's like naked music, or I don't know what to call it. Yeah.
Well, the best kind of film scores are when the images and the music are working in tandem rather than the music sort of telling you how to feel. And Mika Levy is a good example of this kind of.
Well, this is why I'm not a fan of film music, because sometimes it feels like there's a guy to the right of the screen explaining me, this girl is sad because, and the window is sad, and this and whatever. It's like, and it feels like, shut up. It's just stop speaking. It feels like someone speaking to you and explaining to you the movie. And I'm really not a fan of that.
This is a convention in a lot of horror movies where it's like, okay, I need to be scared now. Something's about to happen.
In horror movies, it's harder to get away from scary music. I mean, you have to scare people. So there will be, there's a tension coming and something's going to happen. You can work around, try not to do it too much, but you do want often this creepy vibe happening. Bubbling, and you want the punches, the really loud stuff, and so you have to respect, I suppose, the genre a little bit, at least.
Well, finally, one thing I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if you can speak to it or not. White Lotus is returning for a second season. It's going to be set in Sicily. It's being shot right now. Jennifer Coolidge is returning, has her character Tanya. Maybe she won't still be an alcoholic, sad alcoholic this time. Are you involved in the second season? Have you been approached about that at all yet?
No, I'm doing a movie right now, and when that's finished, I'm on another movie, so I'm not going to be able to do that, but I might rework the theme for them so that it fits Sicily. And that's it. But I won't be able to work on the second season more than that.
Can you talk about the movies that you're working on right now?
So the one I'm doing now, it's what I started after the White Lotus, like last summer, and I'm still working on it, and it's going until like June. It's a very long movie, and so it's a horror movie. It's called Something's Wrong with Rose. It's a Paramount movie. I don't know how much I can talk about it. There's Suzy Bacon, Kevin Bacon's daughter, who is the main, is the lead. It's a it's a girl who has been traumatized since she was a little kid, and this trauma, now she's an adult, and this trauma is following her, and she starts seeing this trauma into people, paranoid, and it becomes a real thing. So it's that kind of stuff.
Well, definitely look forward to that. Sounds very intriguing. On that note, Cristobal, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing some of your work with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks everyone.